the best money in the future is a truly digitalized cash, which means it's on a network nobody can shut down, nobody controls, and the cash you can pay each other immediately. You don't need any bank to hold the money for you, and you pay each other in seconds.
Yifan He is the CEO of Red Date Technology and one of the chief architects of China's Blockchain Service Network, or BSN. From building permissioned versions of Ethereum, Cosmos, and Polygon into China's infrastructure to advising governments on stablecoins.
Where do you see China moving as far as the ban on crypto is concerned?
China has an infrastructure in place called the Angang Stock Connect. Now, if China open up the Stock Connect, become Crypto Connect, so you can open crypto wallets with those regulated exchanges inside China and buy and sell with RMB. It solves all the problems. There's no money laundering and give end user a choice to participate in crypto trading if they think it's an investment they want to touch.
Hello, Yifan. Welcome to Alpha and Hash.
Thank you.
Yifan, in China, a lot of things happen very quietly on the tech front till suddenly something comes out and blows up across the world. We just saw that happen with Gen AI, for example, more recently. And I'm very curious to understand more about the BSN, or the Blockchain Service Network, which has been built in China, and you've been one of the core architects as the founder of Red Date. So I want to understand, what is the BSN really?
First, because in China, the cryptocurrency is banned. Okay, so which means you really cannot use like public chain as infrastructure to develop Web3 applications. So that's why think about the BSN is a network with multiple chains. We specially build or convert from the popular public chain into what we call open permission blockchain. And there's 12 of them, and we bundle them together. With one user account, you can access different chains. But we took out the cryptocurrency. You have to pay gas in fiat money. And also by Chinese internet regulation, when you deploy smart contract or write data to those chains, we need a KYC. Okay, so it's think about the BSN. It's very close to public chain, but fully in compliance with Chinese regulation as a blockchain infrastructure. So that's basically it. So those 12 chains, most of them are converted from popular public chains. So we have one chain is converted from the Ethereum, from EOS, from Cosmos, from Polygon. So we basically use public chain technology, make them in compliance, and build it into a Chinese infrastructure. But no cryptocurrency. Still, you have to still pay for the gas fee, but it's in fiat money. So we have a fiat money wallet. We deduct from the fiat money wallet instead of a cryptocurrency wallet.
So it almost sounds to me like a closed private permissioned chain, but it's wide in terms of its application, in terms of its and what's the sort of consensus mechanism? How are the nodes operated? Is that wide as well? So explain to me. And these 12 chains. So BSN is built on top of these 12 chains, so it provides access.
Think about BSN is the combination of all those chains. So think about BSN is not a blockchain, a single blockchain. It's a network. So that's why we don't call BSN as a blockchain. It's a network of blockchains. So think about you bundle like Solana, Ethereum, EOS, Cosmos, Polkadot, all those chains into one network. But with 12 chains you can choose from, but you only need to register once, and you can deploy smart contract on any chain you feel comfortable with. because it has different consensus, different smart contract agent, right? Some EVM, some Rust, some different type. So you can choose which one you familiar with, or then you deploy your smart contract to. Then you can call those smart contract and run your application. But because most application on public chain are cryptocurrency based, right? DeFi, all those things. But in China, because there's no cryptocurrency, so it's more like people treating the blockchain infrastructure as a decentralized database. They deploy a smart contract. For example, a big corporation, they need to share some data, and through the network, but it's not like inside data. It's like all public data. So they put on public chain all their subsidiaries, suppliers. They just connect to this chain to share data. So it's much easier to build that and cheaper instead of a big centralized system. You need to onboard everybody, connect to an API. It's very hard to develop no standard. So put them on chain. So the application on BSN is totally different than those on public chains, because it's more on BSN is more like an industrial enterprise blockchain applications. On public chain is more like a crypto, DeFi, RWA, that kind of thing.
So what are the current applications running on BSN?
There's a lot. First, the most important one is what we call is China Real DID. So if you search it, it has a lot of information. So it's basically the central government issued DID based on the national identity database. So basically there's a centralized Chinese identity database infrastructure called CTID. So then we're working with the government to build a DID layer, which means you have a centralized ID, then you have also a DID on BSN.
The DID is like a wallet, which is sort of KYC'd basis the government ID, or what?
Yeah, it's basically a on-chain wallet. Because DID is address, right? Then there's a DID document attached to the address. So inside the DID document, there's a public key. So when the end user apply for the national DID, they need to create a private key and the public keys. Then the government need to verify who they are, go through the facial recognition, name check, everything. Then issue the DID on BSN, but with their public key there. So from there, there's a huge applications of the national DID system. For example, let me put it this way. The reason why the government built this is privacy. Okay, think about that. We actually built the same thing in Singapore, launched one month ago. Okay, called the CVC. We can talk about that later. So, right now in the traditional digital ID world, right, when you need a KYC yourself, for example, if you go to a bank, then in order for bank to verify you, first you need to submit all your information to the bank. Your name, your ID, your passport, photo, everything. Then the bank collect, or any business collect those information. And remember, they cannot verify this because they are not government, they are bank. They couldn't even recognize that photocopy of your passport is real. So which means they need to go through intermediaries or even government agencies to push them into the government, digital identity database. Then the government do the verification for you, then tell you yes or no. Then you basically finish the KYC process. That's why when you go to bank, open accounts, sometimes it takes 2 weeks. And it costs averagely each bank almost $500 to do the KYC. Okay. And another problem is the government in the middle. They issue ID and you come to them to verify. So the government knows who is using ID with who. So basically the government controls. That's a centralized. So now the Chinese government put a DID on the chain with your public key. The end user still holding their private key. Okay. Right now, when you go to a website, you can do a simple anonymous KYC, which means when you log in, you don't need to put your phone number, email address, anything. You just give them your DID address. Then send the login or registration with your private key. It's a signature, right? Then push the data to the website. Then the website go to BSN, because when you just read data, you don't need to register. So it's free, no gas fee, anything. You just go to the BSN to verify with a public key put there, issued by the government. So then you basically can verify this guy is a Chinese citizen, no criminal record, but you have no idea who they are. So this is actually a new way to verify yourself on internet with cryptographic technology. So this is actually
it's like an abstracted verification, something like a zero knowledge proof.
Yes, exactly. So this is actually groundbreaking, because the first it actually not only gives the end user privacy, also the verifier. Because right now you don't need to call the government database to verify. Because when you call the government database verify, one problem is not everybody can call, because you need to register, access the government data. They only allow big corporation to access, which means not everybody can verify digital identity. Now, everybody is the verifier. Everybody can go to BSN to literally verify that without the government even knowing you verifying this ID. So because in China, we cannot use the public chain, so we use BSN. The best thing, the closest thing to public chain. But in Singapore, if you check IMDA's announcement, we are using Solana for Singapore. So it's on Solana. So which means when you receive a verification request, you don't need to access SIM-pass to verify, because not everybody can access SIM-pass. So you basically go to Solana to verify this guy's DID, private key signature with the public key on Solana. Then you verify, you say, okay, this is definitely a SIM-pass user. Why? Because when you get the DID, you need to go through the SIM-pass verification for one time. So that's basically this is basically turns Solana into a public infrastructure, or BSN a public infrastructure for government identity verifications. It's a huge implications in even for internet, not Web3, even for internet verification.
So we were talking about applications, and we touched upon supply chain and DID. What other is it largely public institutions that uses the BSN, or is it even large and SME Chinese companies, corporations also that use the BSN?
All of them. Actually, we have I think by today we have over 2,500 enterprise users. And most of them is a small and medium company. Why? Because in China, issuing and trading NFT is legal. So there's probably half of the NFT issued in China is on BSN. so which means the NFT sometimes is art, right? And sometimes it's a lot of company, retail company. For example, we have a very famous case. It's a diamond company. Okay, when they issue a wedding ring, they create a DID, and for that ring, so you can always verify that, and it's like a NFT, like a gift, go through. And when you want to resell the ring, you also need to prove you are the owner of that NFT. So it's also a security measure.
So you're talking about authenticity and the origin traceability, for example. So all of that, right? Which are sort of obviously very known applications of blockchain, have been used in several supply chain applications, but not yet gone full mainstream. But for high value items like diamond rings, yeah. So there's one question is just for everybody to understand. So how obviously there is a let's say an NFT to identify that particular high value item, and then it is very, but how this on-chain identity in the form of an NFT is how is it mapped to this particular diamond?
First, the diamond company needed to register on NFT as a user, right? Because we need a KYC, whoever. So they connect their tech team, connect to the BSN, like connect to any public chain, and deploy their smart contract, NFT smart contract. Okay. Then they basically, because BSN is a hosting environment, So we don't care. It's like AWS, right? We give you space, we give you computing power, we give you runtime environment. You deploy your smart contract, run your smart contract. We just make sure it doesn't break the law. Okay. Then they basically, when they sell, they create the NFTs. I mean, we don't even know most of our clients what they are doing because we couldn't even go to the smart contract, really understand logic. This one, because we're working with them on some PR activity, so we know what happened. So when they sell, they actually has an app. So their end user register into the app, mini program on WeChat. So everybody has WeChat here. So then the company registers the NFT through the app to the end user. So go through there. Then every single time you can actually go through the app basically go to the smart contract, pull that, because it's real time, display that. If you want to verify, there's a barcode, so other people can scan it and verify, go through the smart contract again and get the result back. So a very small application, very, very small application. They probably pay us, 20 RMB per month. because BSN is a public infrastructure, the government don't allow us to charge a lot of money. So each transaction is like a 2 cents, 3 cents RMB. It's like a 0.2 cents US. So which means when you create an NFT, you only pay us like 20% of a cent.
Okay, so those are some of the applications, and how is the what's the sort of validator network? What is I'm guessing from all the 12 chains, or rather, the forked chain versions that you spoke about. It seems like this is an EVM chain.
No, some is EVM. There's Cosmos. Cosmos is not EVM. Also EOS. EOS is not. So because we want to diversify the blockchain environment, so everybody can choose wherever they feel comfortable. So let me put one thing. It's think about those chains are Hedera. It's still public. It's everybody can call. If they don't write data into the chain, we don't even KYC. You are anonymous. So it's like Hedera or BNB. So they have limited validators. You cannot just set up a validator and run that. So it's like this kind of open public permission chain. But the BSN, the validator nodes controlled by 5 entities. Okay, it's a Red Day, us, China Mobile, and two China Mobile company, and also 2 government agencies. So basically, we run the validator. We don't allow other people to run, but the architecture actually pretty complicated. But any user can set up 4 nodes. Which means those is not like a centralized system, all the nodes hosted with us. The phone node, which is not the validator node, is basically the peer nodes. You can set up what we call BSN data center. So in the data center, you can install any number of phone nodes of or any number of those chains. So you can access and run your own application locally. So we have over 100 plus, almost 200 different this kind of data centers. So BSN actually pretty decentralized, running over China.
So there are 5 validators, and what about sort of on the application side? Just going back, what about the yuan CBDC? Is that issued on BSN?
First, the ECNY has nothing to do with blockchain at all. Okay, the centralized digital currency system, okay, has nothing to do with the blockchain at all at this moment. So it's not on chain, and also ECNY, it's a central bank digital currency. Passing through 6 big commercial banks as a new form of currency issued by China, but it's nothing to do with blockchain. Everything is centralized.
It's not on. Okay, it is okay. It's not on chain at all.
Not on chain at all.
And is there a plan to bring it on chain for any reason? And if that happens, would BSN be the network that it would go on?
Yeah, you actually touch on very important, the BSN, why we put the government DID there, everything. So when there's a regulation for ECNY or stablecoin, regulated stablecoin, or bank issued tokenized deposit to be legalized in China, BSN will be the best infrastructure because we have KYC capability, we have ecosystem here. So that we just be ready. Okay, we just be ready, but we don't know when. We never heard any plan for ECNY be on chain. But in past 2 months, the central government or local government in China pay a lot of attention to stablecoins because the stablecoin regime will be, begin in August. Basically next month, they will issue the first set of license, regulated stablecoin license within this year. So then everybody begin to pay attention to stablecoin. So we hopefully there's a regulation in China allow Chinese banks, Chinese big companies to issue stablecoin on chain. Then BSN will be basically the go-to environment to do it, right? Because we have large ecosystem already well built, handle a lot of traffic. Remember the 12 chains, one benefit for 12 chains is we can handle a larger amount of TPS because we basically divert the different traffic to different chains. So in total, it can handle a large TPS.
Okay, so essentially this sort of 12 chain network and bridging is completely seamless across. They're completely interoperable. So and all the consensus mechanism is similar. So I think I sort of understand from a design perspective and sort of how the applications are evolving on top of it. For example, there's Hyperledger Fabric, right? So why could this sort of design be not built on a large scale Hyperledger Fabric?
Okay. First, we cannot use public chain. The original thinking is to make Chinese developers familiar with public chains. So we are not like a special case, just Fabric in China. So we actually the EVM, Cosmos, EOS, even Solana, we actually moving here too, right? And also like move language, like Aptos. So we want Chinese developers familiar with all those chains. Okay, that's because eventually all the connection will be built between BSN with all the public chains. Let me add one small information. First, we have a very advanced bridge, which means those 12 chains from any smart contract on any chain, it can call directly to any other smart contract on other chain. So there's a very, very built-in bridge. And we can also use the bridge to connect to the public chains. So we actually, one of our 12 chains, you can call Ethereum, but only from the BSN calling Ethereum, but not Ethereum allow Ethereum calling back. So this is how we talk to regulator, and they allow us to go out, but not come in. So that's a one piece of information, just like, because eventually if the regulation allows, we actually can make the interact with all major public chains seamlessly, just like we can. We even have a plan in China. If you cannot touch cryptocurrency, you pay fair money, and we pay the gas for you on public chains. Okay, so you can use public chain without touching cryptocurrency. So we deduct the same fair money wallets on BSN, pay for your application on public chains.
Okay, so in design, you're saying it's completely like a public, permissionless chain, but it just happens to be having only 5 validators, and but it is designed to not have issue any crypto tokens in that sense.
Yeah, actually, technically, if you want to issue that, it's just like NFT. Nobody can stop you. But we are obligated to report you if we find any illegal activity. It's just like AWS, right? If you set up a website, you sell drugs, and AWS will shut you down, okay, because you're breaking the law. So, but can you set up a website to sell drugs, illegal drugs on AWS? Of course you can. they cannot stop you before it happens. But when you run like 1 month, they find out, they shut you down and report you to authorities. Same thing.
You mentioned stable coins, and I might have missed that. So you did you say that from next month, China, RMB based stable coins are going to be issued, and licenses are going to be issued by the government to specific players?
It's a little bit complicated, but in the beginning, it will be Hong Kong dollar backed stablecoin, because the license will be issued by a Hong Kong monetary authority, so HKMA. So that will be but right now the Chinese central government pay a lot of attention to this, and a lot of Chinese company go to Hong Kong and ready to apply for the license. As far as I know, there's like 3 dozens of them, large corporations. And the reason is actually before this year, before Trump administration, the Chinese government is like didn't like crypto. They didn't even want to talk about the stablecoin because they think it's crypto related. But now when the U.S. government begin to bring crypto industry into mainstream and also passing stablecoin laws, in that law, it specific said the purpose of the U.S.-backed stablecoin is to strengthen U.S. currency worldwide circulation. Then the Chinese government begin to understand, say, oh, okay, if we want RMB to be strong, we also need to issue, RMB-backed stablecoin. So I think the Hong Kong stablecoin regulation will be a test. Okay. Then I think after the license, it will be allow you, basically under the license, they add say, okay, now you can issue a stablecoin backed with offshore RMB. Then RMB is the stablecoin will be generated under the same regime. Okay, so I think it will be the hardest topic in next 3 months. Okay, in Hong Kong, and also we are my company. We are the major technology supplier to all the stablecoin players right now.
Okay, so obviously those that HKD based stablecoin will be issued on all the public blockchains directly, right?
Yes, because we are building, several of them for the banks and the issuers. So far, all the Hong Kong-based, Hong Kong-backed, Hong Kong D-backed stablecoin will be issued on public chains. There's not one single case to issued on a permission chain.
And the BSN is used completely internally within China?
Yes. We actually, if you are not a Chinese registered company, we don't even open account for you.
So there's the BSN, then the stablecoin, starting with an HKD based pegged stablecoin being issued by under license from HKMA now, and then you got the UDPN. So what is the UDPN?
First, let me say UDPN is not a Chinese project. Has nothing to do with China. Okay, has nothing to do with China. We actually, it's one of the developers. The other developers is European companies. It's a German company and also a bunch of foreign banks. So we form a consortium, basically pushing for tokenized commercial bank issued tokenized deposit. It's not stablecoin. Stablecoin is like a commercial company issued. So what we target, UDP targeting as a banking sector. So because we have a belief since 4 years ago, every single bank will have a token-based account management system. So we actually consider this as a third generation of banking system, because the first generation is paper. So your balance ranking, 50 years ago, there's no digital bank, no centralized database. So everything is record on paper. So that paper is a database. That paper's balance is your money. Okay. Then 40 years ago, when the computer become popular, all the bank begin to use central database to store your account. Okay. So there's a digital ledger inside the bank, record all the book, and your balance there is your money. So we believe next generation is a decentralized database technology. Basically use blockchain, public chain, or permission. Banks will most likely use permission chain. So it's then they use a decentralized technology to use token-based wallet as a banking account. Okay, give you a little bit more rights to access your money, and it's easy to interact with your traditional IT system. So we believe that will be a standard core banking system in next 5 to 10 years. So that's why we begin to working with the European companies to basically begin to, develop this kind of, commercial bank issued tokenized deposit. It's totally different than stablecoin. Okay, because the liability is different. There's no reserve, because the bank account doesn't have reserve, right? That's banking license define that. So when we begin 4 years ago, when we begin to develop what we call token-based core banking system under the UDPN brand name, which doesn't really belong to us, it belongs to a consortium. Then after we building that system, then we say, okay, the SWIFT is connecting the centralized database fair money accounts. Who will connecting all the token-based accounts? So we build a UDPN infrastructure, which is a token-based messaging network connecting different token system issued by bank. Because then the UDPN is actually already been in pre-production for over 6 months. So it's actually, works really well. We have a dozen banks, even including, several central bank testing the whole network, testing the token system, everything. So we probably still need 1 year, to go through, because, asking banks to upgrade their system and adopting a new technology is 5 years ago. Okay. So that's why we don't rush on that one. But luckily we begin to do business. Why? Because stablecoins. Because stablecoin actually is a lesser version of our tokenized deposit system, because it's not as strong as bank, but you still need to follow all the AML, KYC, travel rule, all those things. So also you need to build financial, reporting, auditing, all those things. So right now we basically begin to making, doing business with all the stablecoin issuers, directly supply their what we call a stablecoin management system. So it's actually our UDPN, tokenized deposit system. So it's right now in the market there's no competitors, because nobody's stupid like us. Without the market begin to put in like millions to develop something. So but now we think we made the right bet. Go into made the right bet on the direction. UDPN has nothing to do with China. Okay, it's we as a Hong Kong company joined the consortium. There's like 7 parties. We are the only one from Hong Kong.
Okay, all right. So there are 2 things that you're saying here. One, and both are important. We'll get into the second one. But the first one is that essentially, and most of us who are deep in DeFi believe that that's what's going to happen, that banks will ultimately be run on DeFi. Okay, so accounts will become wallets. No user will know that there is a blockchain underneath. They will be using an application not knowing that it's actually a dApp, not an app. So all that stuff will happen, right?
Remember, now you have no control over bank accounts. Okay, when you give the money to the bank, it's on bank's balance sheet. Okay, legally belong to the bank. So that's why when you access your own money, you need their permission. They can stop you using the money. They can close your account because it belongs to them. The bank only have a liability to you. Okay, so but the wallet actually give a certain rights to end user. Okay, give actually a certain because it's a decentralized technology. You can have a key to kind of manage you at least managing the money with the bank together, which means without your permission, they cannot move your money. Right now in bank account, they can do whatever they want. Okay, so and also the reason is the banking UDP and the identity we built for Singapore actually linked together, because how you can KYC an on-chain wallet is use government issued DID technology. So that's actually a big use case. We are, we're working with almost a dozen big Web3 companies, public chains, to try to come up a solution with Singapore government issued DID and to KYC anonymously, which means people still don't know who you are, anonymously of the on-chain wallets. Once we can do that, basically we put all the Web3 in compliance into mainstream. Because, and remember, even your KYC, nobody know who they are. You just know they are a Singaporean citizen, and when they commit crime, you can still report them to the government, give them the DID. The government, from their database, they can find out who this guy is and arrest this guy. So it fits in the the nature of being anonymous on chain, but still can be regulated and can be enforced by the legal and the law the authorities. So that's actually the perfect solution, can be accepted by the Web3 world and also by the traditional world. So that's actually something we really trying to do. But once we can do that, then you can actually very easy to build the token-based system for the banks. Basically bridging those two worlds together.
So that's the one part, and as you call it, a token-based system, token-based core banking. So that's a a good way of referring to the new core banking that will kind of emerge. Now the other point you mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong. So essentially, you're envisioning different banks will have their own private permissioned chains they will operate on, and then they will need an interbank settlement system essentially, and that is what UDPN will be. It will talk to, right? So it's like the on-chain Swift basically.
Yes. But let me clarify again, because this is too sensitive. We are not trying to compete with Swift. Okay, why? Because Swift is connecting all the centralized account system. So when every single bank builds their own tokenized deposit system, they will use some probably will use public chain. Most of will use different permission chain like Coda, and it's a separated system. How you connect all of them, make the token can be swapped with each other, pay each other, FX with each other. How? Then you need a new infrastructure, because Swift doesn't support. So we picture this as like we are not competing with Swift. We are in parallel. They handle fiat money. We handle token.
And you're also making it sort of clear that UDPN has nothing to do with China. So just like the US government says that they have nothing to do with Swift, it's completely non-sovereign. So you want UDPN to be genuinely like that, right?
Actually, Chinese government don't even know UDPN. I mean, some Chinese bank want to join the consortium. We say no, we don't welcome Chinese banks. Okay, so and we don't control the UDPN. It's seven entity we vote. There's 2 or 3 European companies, banks, and there's Middle East entity. There's 2 Asian entity. One is from Hong Kong is ready.
But again, banks have tried their own private permissioned chains earlier, and they found, I mean, the very reasons why public blockchains have existed and fixed various problems in the financial systems is because of composability, is because of seamless and transparent permissionless access. So all of those which get kind of compromised immediately with a closed system. Now, so banks have tried that, and now many banks are actually moving on to building their next infrastructure on public chains, and sort of Ethereum being sort of a preferred one. So how are you looking at that? Do you think that's how it will evolve, or but still it will have privacy for built in? It will have some kind of validator network of which may be on top of that, which will partly be in the control of the bank. So is that how you're looking at it, or do you think that the way you and the consortium are looking at UDPN is that banks will build their completely will operate on their own closed systems, closed on-chain systems, token-based systems, and UDPN will serve to connect all of it together.
Yeah. First, their core banking, token-based core banking system will be internal system. Okay. Personally, I think, of course, banks still will deploy their application on public chain, right? On public chain, but it's only like the application level, not their core banking account level. Just like today, right? All the core banking system is a backend system, but they still develop internet applications you can access by user, right? But you cannot access their core banking. So that's why, because remember, this is banking system. It's highly, highly regulated. Even they want to put some on public chain, sometimes, for example, you deploy a stablecoin system on public chain, your competitor bank can check how big the volume is and how many customers you have. so it's too transparent. Sometimes being too transparent is not good for the bank. Of course, you can use zero knowledge, to mask a lot of things, but that make the connection become less meaningful on public chain. So that's why we still picture, the core banking system will be on permission chain, but it will be on chain. Why? Because sometimes probably the central bank want to participate in that chain. Okay, there's some kind of governance stuff like that. So, but the core banking definitely is it won't even be shared. Some concept in 2 years ago to 3 years ago called unified ledger. Right, which means all the banks issue their token-based account on one chain. It's not going to happen. Okay, it's like all the banks use a SaaS module to manage their account. It's not going to happen. Okay, not going to happen.
Yeah. No, I mean, banking systems operate on opacity. Opacity is a feature, not a bug. So they don't want blockchain transparency. And yeah, there is some there is some rationale to that, but a lot of it is that opacity has also led to a lot of problems in the entire banking system as well, right? So, but it'll be interesting how this evolves.
Let me tell you the ultimate goal on the regulated digital currency system. What we picture the ultimate goal is digitalize the cash. Okay, think about this. It's cash actually is the best money. Best money. When you're holding cash, nobody knows how much money you have, and each cash is anonymous and it's decentralized. It's decentralized to each dollar. Okay, and when you pay each other, nobody can stop you. When you're holding your cash, even the government rob you, it's robbery. Okay, it's your property. Nobody, not controlled by anyone. It's in your pocket. When you when you pay someone, that settlement is instant. You don't need a corresponding bank. You don't need the intermediate. Cash is the best money in the world. But the problem is, first, it doesn't support long distance. Right? You need to carry it. And also extremely expensive to transport and storage. Okay, so that's why, why we have bank is because we cannot, use the money very efficiently in large scale in long distance. So we give the money to the bank. So bank process the transaction in bank with other banks. So it solves the long distance, everything, but you lose control. Okay, you lose your privacy. So the best money in the future is a truly digitalized cash, which means it's a cash. It's on a network nobody can shut down. It's on a network nobody can shut down, nobody controls. And the cash you can pay each other immediately. You don't need any bank to hold the money for you. And you manage all your money and you pay each other in seconds. So that's the best money. But when that happens, first, you need a global infrastructure nobody controls, nobody can shut down, and it's fully decentralized, built by all individuals, form that kind of environment. It's not going to happen in 10 years because there's no technology even support that. Second one is all the commercial banks need to change the model because right now, a huge function of the bank is to store and keep your money. If you can manage your money efficiently, and the bank lose that function. So all the commercial bank become investment bank. So why you give money to them? Because they can give you a better return. Other than that, you don't need a bank. Okay, so this is the ultimate solution. A money like a cash, all the attributes of cash, but it's digital past. So that's what we think will happen probably in 20 years or 30 years.
And in this vision and in this fast evolution of decentralized systems which will replace current financial systems, banking systems that exist, and where we will have an on-chain version of cash which is completely in one's own control, yet there is privacy, yet there is legitimacy and regulation, so everything kind of functions in the original way it was designed to be. Where do you I mean, China is an absolutely important player, one of the most important players in this evolving ecosystem, especially in, as you mentioned, sort of the reaction to USD based stablecoins, also which the American government has expressed very clearly a policy which kind of could lead to dollarization. So obviously other countries are kind of very mindful of that. In this whole evolution, where do you see China moving as far as the ban on crypto is concerned? I understand in the notes which were given to me that at some point you have mentioned that you believe that there's a 50% chance that the government will lift the ban. What do you say?
Okay. First, the reason why we need to discuss why the Chinese government even banned the cryptocurrency. Because remember, China has capital control, which means they have regulation and control on the inflow and the outflow of money into the country or outside the country. And it's probably the number one priority on financial regulation is to control the capital. So crypto become a mean to move money outside. In China, the term money laundry is not laundry illegal money. It's laundry the money out of country. Okay, that's called money laundry in China. So the crypto become a mean to laundry money out of China. For example, I can buy Bitcoin with RMB in China, then move the Bitcoin outside China and sell to become USDT. Then boom, my money is outside. So that's basically a means the government cannot control, for the money laundering. Okay, so that's why that's same reason with many countries. Okay, so that's why they banned crypto. So which means if you only consider crypto as an investment, which I don't like actually, because it's not regulated. Okay, the only regulated financial product can have fair trading. Okay, for example, in stock market, if you have inside information, you are not allowed to trade. In crypto, everybody trading on inside information.
But do you actually believe in financial markets? All those regulations are in practice? I mean, there's tons of insider trading happening all the time.
Yes, but at least there's rules. You can bypass the rule. There's two things. You have rule or you don't have rule. You have rule means if you don't enforce them well, it's another degree. But you don't have rule at all, which means everybody do is legal. I can cheat the money out of your pocket legally. That's the thing. Another thing is I can break the law to scam the money out of you. But the police just corrupted and don't arrest me. That's two different categories. So that's why. But personally, I think as an investment vehicle, as crypto, the government doesn't care, because it's your personal decision to buy which one is risky or not risky. I mean, there's many regulated financial products is even 10 times more riskier than crypto. Okay, there's so many there. So to make that adjustment. So that's why the reason why I say I said a couple of months ago, there's 50% chance is because China has an infrastructure in place called the Hong Kong Stock Connect. Okay, which means you can have a stock account in China. Through that stock account and through your security company, you can remotely open a Hong Kong stock account and buying and sell Hong Kong stock within China using RMB, which means you buy as in RMB, and when you sell, it return back as RMB. So there's no inflow, outflow. So think about it. It's a Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Let's say now it's a Hashkey and OSL, the regulated crypto exchange, also regulated by Hong Kong government. Now, if the China open up the Stock Connect, become Crypto Connect, so you can open crypto wallets with those regulated exchange inside China and buy and sell with RMB. What's the problem? It solves all the problems. There's no money laundering and give end user a choice to participate in crypto trading if they think it's an investment they want to touch. So this is actually also, you can even charge them tax. This kind of tax, if you trade on a Hong Kong Stock Exchange or even some US, they charge you 20% income tax, capital gain. Okay. Charge 30% on crypto. So, which means with the infrastructure, the Hong Kong Stock Connect infrastructure, everything's there. You can switch from Hong Kong stock to Hong Kong crypto exchange. It's probably can be implemented within 3 months. Okay. That's why I really think when the US government, Trump administration brings the crypto more and more to mainstream, and China can open up, but it doesn't mean it will open like you run a crypto exchange inside China, or everybody can move money in and out. It goes through a government controlled infrastructure, 50%.
So the main reason has been capital account convertibility, and that's something you feel that with the Hong Kong based financial product access using RMB within China that could also lead to opening up crypto markets.
Yes. That will be, if that happens, that will be the biggest crypto news in 10 years. Why? Because immediately you have 200 million stock traders inside China can buy crypto. I think that's how the Bitcoin will become $250,000.
Mm-hmm. And what's your view? When you think that something like that could happen?
Because in past 6 months, we can see from the government, public information, stuff like that, the leadership talks, you can see that attitude toward, crypto is softened. Okay, definitely softened. Okay, that's for. Second one is stablecoin everybody begin to talk. Last week, the Shanghai government basically holds a inside government conference to discuss crypto and stablecoin. That's almost the first time, that kind of public information. So I think this is actually moving, but the main reason is still the Trump administration's attitude toward crypto. When they are friendly, the China also, kind of begin to switch. But I think the anchor really will make everything moving faster is stablecoin. Because this is a currency strategy, national currency strategy. Because if you want to compete with the US dollar, you need to use new technology. So this is actually will motivate the Chinese government to adopt the crypto-based technology more and more.
So we've always talked about how blockchain is going to be the future of finance, and would I be correct, Yifan, in saying that you're in the camp which believes that future of finance is going to be achieved by not by mass adoption at the user level, but by adoption at the technology stack level for financial institutions and banks? So if that happens, then blockchain will be adopted en masse across. You're in that camp of institutional adoption as a back-end technology stack, which will spur this.
Yes, of course, because that's how technology really works. You think about when there's no computer inside the bank, how can the end user say, we need a computer, we need a computer? I mean, even with the central database account system, 99% of the end user never touch the computer.
I have a different view there. I mean, the internet didn't evolve with institutional adoption. It evolved with the application of individuals, founders, startups, all of that sort of coming in with the applications on the internet. So similarly, if you look at the very foundation of blockchain, starting with let's say Bitcoin, it's completely on a decentralized ledger, right? So and it didn't need any institutional adoption for Bitcoin to be where it is. Of course, we can say that institutional adoption in the form of ETFs, for example, and institutions getting en masse or in volume sort of has spurred a lot of that forward. But the technology adoption was really in many ways at the end of the user, really.
Yeah, but so far it hasn't get into the mainstream yet. For example, no bank really. So what I think, I mean, it's a very good example to use the internet. But I use the example, not the internet, it's computing, right, in the bank, because the bank recognized the computer in the 80s, 70s, right? It's really can help the ledger business, the account management, so they adopt the computer. At that time, no individual even used the computer before. So that's why they recognize it can increase the productivity and do a better services. They adopt that, then everybody begin to adopt. They can have a car and that's money. Okay, before that everything is cash. They have to go to that cash. So that's why I think, especially with the financial industry, you need the central bank begin to have a change of heart, okay, to adopting new technology. And all commercial bank, we talked to hundreds of commercial banks in past 5 years. They don't care about the end user. They don't care about the technology. What they care about is central bank. If central bank asks them to do something, they do. So most important is the central bank. Central bank means the government, the legislation. If you can crack that, immediately all the central bank, I mean, for all the commercial bank, if you heard some news that they are running some tests with stablecoin or tokenized deposit, ask them who told you to do it. 100%. Central bank ask us to run some use cases. I mean, those banks won't be innovative until the central bank tells them. That's why everybody out there, if you really want to push this, talk to central bank, change their attitude, lobbying central bank and the financial legislations. Okay, that's where can force the commercial bank to adopt new technology or even crypto.
So central banks and crypto coming together is going to be the future of mass adoption of crypto and blockchain.
Yeah.
Yifan, it's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you for being on Alpha Unhashed.
Thank you.